Hey everybody, it's Candy, aka Brown Eyed Girl 69. How y'all doing? Well, fair warning. Um, this video is probably going to render some emotion from me, and gonna try to do the best I can, get through it. But I've got to make this video, not for anybody, but for me. Um, I'll have to jump back a little bit in time. January 2009. Actually, January 21st of 2009, Obama was being inducted as president for his first term. Our satellite got shut off on that day because, what did I say, this was 2009. I'd had an accident in 2007 that rendered me basically physically disabled for about a year and a half. And living at this during that time frame was very difficult. Um, and I didn't have the money to pay the satellite bill, so it got shut off January 21st, 2009. I was working at like a temporary type of job, um, but then I'd gotten a better job. So I told Daryl that after, a month or two went by, we would get the TV turned back on. But when that month or two that came up went by, we never turned the TV back on because basically we watched DVDs through Netflix at that time, when they would send the actual DVD to you through the mail and you'd return it back. So we would watch Netflix movies, and then I had my computer, and I was really heavily involved on Facebook at this time. And with Yahoo Chat and Yahoo Chats, basically in groups, was basically what I was given my time to at that point in time. MySpace was pretty much gone by the wayside. YouTube, was watching YouTube, but I didn't have a channel per se yet. But I watched YouTube mainly for music videos and occasionally videos that would be suggested to me. Well, in June of 2009, there was a video that was suggested to me, and the person's channel was the Show Me Baby. His real name was Matt Short. At this point in time, he was living in Waco, Texas, and had a girlfriend named Brandy. I guess it's safe to use her name. And he awakened me to things. Probably because the fact that I hadn't really watched TV for 6 months. That programming that had been instilled to me from childhood up to that point in time was slowly leaking, and allowing my brain the opportunity to rewire itself to a certain extent. And when I came across Matt's video and listened to it, well, Matt was the kind of guy that he always told you to bring pad and a piece of paper, or a pad, piece of paper, and pen to his videos. So whenever he would tell you something that was important that you would want to remember, you write it down. Because Matt wasn't the kind of guy that gave you links to the information that he was sharing. If you wanted to learn more about the information he was sharing, you would go look the information up yourself and enlighten yourself and expose yourself to the truth. And know, that what he was saying wasn't BS. So, I was awakened with the information I was awakened with, and it's just, it slowly snowballed down the hill from there. And that was 16 years ago. Back in the day, man, 2009, that was in the day of like Blog TV, and let's see, what else did they have? YouTube had like a little email type system set up. So, like, if you subbed somebody, you could send them a message through YouTube. But they eventually got rid of that feature. At the time, YouTube didn't have streaming lives from, it was all, you had to make your videos and upload everything. They didn't have a community tab. They didn't have a lot of the features they have here now. But some of the features they had back then are better than the features they have now, I think. Especially if you really want to communicate with the people that you're sub to or that are sub to you privately without exchange of personal information. It was a really great tool. But of course, we know that, YouTube don't want people to really connect with each other, right? But yes, this friend of mine, Matt, we basically, stayed in touch, always communicated through the webs and all that. Well, I personally connected with him on Facebook in somewhere in the teens, when I was homeless with Daryl. And I was still following him on YouTube and all that. And then I lost Daryl. And Matt started having these like lives that he would do that were like, late night chats or fireside chats or whatever, Sometimes he'd be in his car, sometimes he'd be in like the room in his house or outdoors in a shed or wherever, but that was during the time after I lost Daryl. And then when I started traveling in 2020, I hit Matt up because I knew he was no longer in Texas, but I knew he was in Missouri. And I happened to be in the neighborhood and basically, hey, you want to meet up? The first time I met him, it was more of a meet and greet. I didn't get to go to his home or anything. I basically met him at a specific location. It was like a parking lot of a church. Then we drove down to the street to this like little convenience store. Went inside and got a pizza and some sodas and stuff. And then we drove down to the park down the street, which was at Table Rock Lake, and sat and enjoyed an afternoon meal together and just connecting. It was really cool. And then a few months later, I told him I was going to be coming back up that way. And so this time, because he'd already met me once in person, he did invite me to come to his home and stay with him for a couple of days. In that 2 day period of time, he took me around to a couple of spots around the lake and whatnot. Um, Driving the back roads, showing me this, showing me that, introduced me to his mother and to his brother, um, which really touched my heart because that showed me that what Matt thought of me as a person. I mean, that the fact that he introduced me to his family. So I found that to be a very, very kind gesture, you know. Just to know that the impact he had on people. That's another thing I want to talk about on Matt is Hurricane Harvey hit Houston. Matt was on it. Matt and his buddies was on it, and they were down there helping people, trying to, rescue people and help out as much as they could wherever that was needed. Every year he did a thing called um, Feed the Need. Feed the Need. I think it was called Feed the Need. And him and other activists and uh, people involved in the group would go out to Dallas in the areas that were really high traffic of homeless people and give them things that they could possibly need or needed or could use, like tents, sleeping bags, clothes, food, just different types of items. Um, he really loved to tube the rivers and stuff. He was really drawn to the water. The thing he did to bring in money for his livelihood was he used his hands. Um, he could pretty much, you know, do anything with his hands, whether that was flooring or remodeling, working with wood, uh, remodeling bathroom, things of that nature, He was just really a handyman with different skills, I should say, in different areas of being a handyman. He had a really good heart. He loved people. Always knew that the people, needed a voice, and he was one of those voices. So I have a lot of respect for Matt because he he wasn't one of these, keyboard warrior kind of guys. No, he went out onto the front lines and did what he said he was going to do. Um, Plain and simple. Um, it's helping me get over this, but he passed away Saturday night in a house fire in Missouri, Ozarks. Um, I think what got to me the most was I had just kind of connected with him a couple of days prior, and he was really putting out a really lot of good things on his page. And I went to sleep Saturday night thinking about him, actually. And then I woke up Sunday morning and I sleepily eyed scrolled my Facebook feed real quick. And I seen a picture of Matt and somebody else on the picture. And I kind of read a little bit about it. And I didn't read the whole thing. I just seen house fire and that somebody had passed away. And I thought it was Matt making a post about his buddy that was in the photo with him. When I woke up hours later and was back on Facebook and seen that post again and realized that it was Matt that was the one that had passed away. I was at a total loss for words. I had no idea. No idea what to think, how to feel. And then the emotion came. And it still comes in waves. I've lost a lot of people in my life. The first death that ever impacted me was when I was 10. And that was when I lost my cousin Carrie. She had been killed in a car wreck, and she was only 15. And what made it extra sad was because of the fact that she shouldn't have been there anyway. But she had kind of went against her mother's wishes and got in the car with these teenagers. One was her boyfriend and two of her friends. And there was a wreck. She was thrown from the vehicle and hit her head and was killed instantly. The other three survived with minor injuries. I remember going to her funeral and just thinking that this isn't right. She had her whole life ahead of her, you know? Then the next set of losses were expected, you know? It was my grandparents. You know, they were in the age range where, you know, they were like in their late 70s, early 80s age range. And so I lost my grandpa. Uh, both sets of my grandpas. Both my grandpas had passed away by the time I was 16. And then the next major loss that came for me was my dad at the age of 17, when I was 17. In between that time frame of losing my grandpas and my dad, I'd lost a couple of friends, high school friends. Um, I've lost a few friends to self-inflicted wounds. Um, I've lost a few friends to car accidents, uh, ODs, things of that nature. I lost my grandmothers when I was in my mid-20s. Um, I lost my daughter's dad in 2002. 2009, my first husband died. 2018, Daryl died. Um, and that was probably the last major death that I've had to deal with. Somebody close to me, I feel. And then this one occurred. And this is the first one that's occurred that really impacted me. like a stab in the heart kind of feeling, I guess. On my way to work today, I told myself, Candy, you've guarded your heart all these years since you lost Daryl. Yet here we are, and it's breaking. So I found out that no matter how much I guard my heart, how much I isolate myself from society and from others, and sometimes even those I love, I still hurt. I can still get hurt. I can still break. I can still feel. Sometimes I wonder what I'm supposed to learn from the losses of all the people in my life that I truly loved and held close and dear to my heart. What is the lesson in all of that? If anyone can enlighten me on perhaps what that lesson is, I sure would like to know, because death is the final solution in my eyes, in my mind. It's permanent. That person, that personality, that temple will no longer be. It was the once in a lifetime deal. I think this is teaching me too that perhaps maybe I shouldn't be afraid to express my emotions to those that I truly deeply care about, because one day we're all going to be gone. Anyways, peace, love, hugs, nugs. Thanks for listening. For putting up with a little bit of my ramblings and whatnot. I have a lot more to say, but not on this particular subject matter, but on other subject matters. I'm probably going to make another video on that as well, but I mainly just wanted to make this video for my friend Matt, aka the Show Me Baby, which, yeah, he was a great, awesome, amazing dude. I don't even think he realizes how many people he truly had touched and impacted their lives, So many people on his page just sharing what Matt meant to them and what he's done for them and how they feel about him. And it's amazing that this one guy could bring together so many people of like-mindedness. And he has a GoFundMe page, or it's not a GoFundMe, it's like a GoFundMe. I'm going to put it in the link below if anybody out there that's listening to this, even if they don't know who Matt is. He has a son named Ryan and a daughter, and Ryan and Matt's brother is trying to put together, the funeral expenses and also a memorial for him. So they've set up a fund me type thing for the expenses of all this. Okay. And his son currently lives in Texas and has to travel to Missouri, etc., etc. So I'm going to post that below too. If anybody out there wants to, throw a few bucks that direction, I sure would appreciate it, as those that are involved in that as well would appreciate it. Much love, everybody.